Hello, this is the Kution NS Weekly English News. A Rohingya man was killed last week under mysterious circumstances in Budidong, Eastern Arakan province. Sources told Arakan news agency that the 45-year-old Hussein Ahmad was killed by unknown assailants. The motives behind the crime or those involved in it were yet not known. It should be noted that the similar incidents occurred in Arakan Estate against the Rohingya Muslims, involved Buddhist extremists and members of the Myanmar security forces. Myanmar's lower house of parliament last week anonymously approved a motion to reject a statement by the UN human rights envoy criticizing government's handling of security and human rights issues. The UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Myanmar issued a strongly worded statement at the end of a 12-day visit to Myanmar, accusing the government of pursuing similar policies to the previous government's military policies. About 200 Rohingya refugees gathered last Wednesday in Makassar, the capital of Indonesia's southern province of Sulawesi, to protest the slow pace of the UNHCR in resolving their situation. According to the Indonesian newspaper Merdeka, the protesters stood in front of the office of the representative of the Commission and raised slogans calling for the speedy resolution of their situation or resettlement in a third country. One demonstrator complained that he had spent years in the city awaiting resettlement, while others, people who came after him, had been resettled, as he called the Indonesian authorities to allow them to work. Indonesia is committed to improving its treatment of asylum seekers and refugees, but not to host them forever. Indonesia's Director General for Immigration, General Roni Franky Sumbe, said, "The global refugee crisis needs to be comprehensively addressed through participation in problem solving while safeguarding Indonesia's national sovereignty and interests," Sumbe said in a statement. UNHCR data shows that there is almost 14,000 Rohingya refugees in Indonesia, but is still small compared to 22 million refugees worldwide, or even hundreds and thousands hosted by Thailand and Malaysia. Indonesia's Aceh province hosts thousands of Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar who arrived at intermittent intervals in 2015. The government is not obliged to fulfill the rights of refugees, and this hosting is a temporary process and it will not be long in Indonesia, said Deki Kumar, Director of Human Rights at Indonesia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Sumbi and Deki rejected claims that the government of the world's largest Muslim majority country treats refugees as illegal immigrants, although Indonesia had not ratified the Convention on Refugees and Asylum Seekers. They acted as if they are ratified it. Myanmar authorities have asked the United Nations World Health Organization (WHO) to help fight the swine flu epidemic, which is spreading mainly in the economic capital of Yangon. At least 6 people were killed and 30 others infected last week, most of them in Yangon, a ministry official said. "We have asked for WHO assistance," said Tong Tung Ong, Assistant Director General of the Public Health Department, to provide equipment for the diagnosis of the infected and drugs. 30 people have been found to be infected with the H5N1 virus so far, and 50 others have been suspected since July 19. He said WHO has yet to respond to the request. There has been rumors across social networking sites since the first death. A large number of Yangon residents began to wear medical masks to avoid infection with the virus. The swine flu virus, a respiratory disease, was first detected in 2009 after monitoring of infections in the United States and Mexico between 2009 and 2010. The virus caused 18,500 deaths in 240 countries. Myanmar police arrested a Buddhist man on Wednesday in connection with an investigation into the death of a Rohingya man earlier this month in Arakan, the capital of the Arakan state, by the Buddhist extremists who attacked a car carrying a group of Rohingyas accompanied by a member of the Myanmar security force. According to local media, a policeman was accompanied by the 8 Rohingya Muslims as they passed through the predominantly Buddhist Yawar Ji Moruk district before a group of extremist Buddhists attacked Muslims. But the policeman fled the crime scene as soon as the perpetrators arrived. "We have been interrogating many, and I cannot remember the numbers of people we interviewed," said Weng Tong, police chief of the city of Aitab, but he gave no further details about the arrested man. Wang Tong, said authorities would take action against the police officer and others who took Rohingya to the scene for violating the rules by transporting them so they could buy a boat. According to the official Myanmar media, those who attacked the Rohingya people were going to make a statement in a criminal case in the ICAP court and were accompanied by the police. During a break in the trail, 7 men escorted the police to a nearby pier to buy a boat from a local businessman and were attacked by the Buddhist extremists who break at the Rohingyas, and the policemen fled the scene. Myanmar police have arrested a prominent journalist after he criticized and allegedly defamed a Buddhist monk and a leader of an influential extremist organization, the media reports on Monday. The editor of the news portal Myanmar Now, Siu Win, was arrested on Sunday at Yangon airport when he was about to board a Bangkok-bound plane, reports added. Earlier this month, Siu Win criticized the controversial monk Wiratu, leader of the group Mabata, for having exiled the assassination of a Muslim lawyer. He said the Wiratu may have committed Jarijika, an act that could result in being him expelled from the monastic community, prompting a follower of organization to denounce the reporter for defamation. The journalist faces a possible 3-year prison sentence, according to the Myanmar Now. Siu Win, a political spokesperson during the previous military government, was given recognition by the government last year for exposing cases of child exploitations in Yangon workshops. Thank you for watching this show. They hope to see you very soon with more news.